Batman Catwoman issue 4, Tom King and Clayman. Of course, we have the investigation in this issue of Catwoman by her own daughter, Batwoman. And this issue kind of delves into, to how close were Catwoman and Joker at a certain time. There's a montage in the middle of this issue where Helena's essentially, she interviews the Penguin, she goes to interview Clayface and Zaz, and she's basically just hearing, like, it's almost that thing in, like, any sort of documentary where you hear people saying, oh, we've seen them talking together at the get-togethers, but, I mean, no one knows for sure, like, how close they were. And, a lot of this is, building into the guilt of, like, Catwoman's past and what she regrets of her villainous years and also all sorts of things. So, we've got that. You had the present day, if you want to call it that, cliffhanger of, actually, I suppose this is more the past, because the present day is the Phantasm stuff. So the past stuff, which was Joker told her about a bomb at the ice rink, but if she tells Batman, then she has to explain where the information came from. And one of the early scenes in the book is her just, like, he's getting dressed to go to this black tie, like, dinner party thing, and he's, like, just giving her advice, because paparazzi will be there, you're going to be in the newspapers tomorrow, don't worry about it. And she just sort of, like, breaks down and says, look, Joker's put a bomb under the ice rink. It's Christmas time. There's a lot of Christmas music sort of in music bubbles throughout the issue to give you sort of the mood, which is nice. But it shows you you can see the opening pages of the red digital clock of the bomb, like, showing through the ice. It's a really nice little sequence. And then the present day story with Phantasm, she has kidnapped Selena and has her held captive in the World Fair building, which is now kind of abandoned, but it was this fair about the future and blah blah blah. And she kind of monologues about to her there. So you've got these three timelines going still, which the book's had the whole time. And you have Phantasm effectively making this speech to Catwoman that Batman's way doesn't work. And we've heard this a lot from various people over the years. The villains keep getting out. That's not solving anything. We have to do more. We have to do something else, which heavily and it has more weight here, though, because we've already seen in the future that old woman Selena kills Joker. Like, her hearing this speech has a lot more weight because we know she actually goes through with it, as opposed to every other time in a Batman comic where someone makes a speech and it's just like, yes, we've heard this time and time again. So that's really neat, and there is some really great art, of course, from Clayman throughout the book. All the Christmassy setting stuff looks really good. After Helena questions everyone about how much, and Scarface is one of the ones that get questioned as well, and Mrs. Freeze, which is notable that Victor's dead and he's now in a tank like Nora used to be, and Nora, who's not blue, might I add, Nora, and of course Nora technically did just get killed in one of the comics, but this is separate continuity wise, it's fine. She's like, oh yeah, Victor used to, like, talk about the glory days and all the time that he fought Batman. There was pride in when he spoke about it. But what do you want to know? Like, he talked a lot about everything. And we see Batman, like, getting the bomb out of the ice at the ice rink, which a really great panel here of him, like, kneeling down on the ice rink and the Christmas trees behind him. It's a really nice contrast, especially since you've got the blue color of the ice, and then up with the tree as it's all orangey and stuff because of the glow of the tree. Really nice stuff. I also really love the Joker's bomb. It's a really simple thing, but the digital clock, when it counts to 0, because we see it at like 4 seconds. The other two, the hours and the minutes part, when they're at 0, it actually it becomes the word ha. So it says ha ha. So when the seconds count down to 0, it'll say ha 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 before it explodes. It's a simple little thing, but I really like it. It's neat.
I'll be honest, my biggest takeaway so far is that Nora Freeze is not an ice bomb.
No, she's not. No, she's a normal human being.
Yeah. So, I don't know what Matt was chatting on about.
Yeah, Matt was trying to counter. Old woman Selena goes to Penguin after she hears that that he was questioned by her daughter and wants to know what was asked and what he said. And it becomes this really wonderful, this is some of the best art in the whole book, is she's brought a cat with her. And Penguin says something like, oh, maybe you should probably just go home and give that cat some milk or something. It's looking famished. And she's like, oh yeah, the cat's hungry, but not for milk. and she puts the cat down. The cat lunges at one of the penguins and bites its neck. And there is basically straight out of a horror movie like panel, because it's very blue because they're in like the iceberg lounge or wherever they are. And then there's this close up of the cat's like mouth open, and it's all red and black and smearing. It's like a horror. It's the sort of thing you do when you're doing like a werewolf attack in a comic, where you'll do like one panel of the blood red kind of like view of the werewolf mouth coming at you, but the cat. And then there's a full page spread, which is back into sort of normal colors, and that is maybe the best page of the whole book. Is the cat, the black cat, just standing on this dead penguin and looking very sinister. And it's obviously very symbolic. Obviously, she's trying to intimidate Cobblepot. I mean, that's no question. But this idea of how far gone is she? How far gone was she in the past that she felt so guilty about it in her time with Batman, and now she's like basically making threats like this to Penguin. A lot of this book seems to be going down of, okay, like just how villainous was Catwoman before she sort of turned, before she kind of started working with Batman, before that relationship built. And the book starts with her feeling guilty enough and like fessing up to Batman and saying, hey, and she's not had to have the conversation of where she knows about this conversation yet, because he asks where the Joker is. She doesn't know, but it does start with her saying, no, I can't do this, I have to tell him, I have to try and save these people. So it gives you something to cling to of like, okay, no, she obviously there's some morals in there, there's empathy to build on. But then the rest of the issue kind of starts to show more of this darker side of like, yeah, she was a villain once, and then this like show of force with the cat, with the penguin. And I mean, the fact that it's literally a cat killing a penguin, I mean, the symbolism, it's not even symbolism really at this point. It's, you know,
to say that's not subtext anymore, that's just text.
It's, you know, it's Catwoman. The names are literally Catwoman and the Penguin. I mean, what she's saying here is very blatant. But yeah, there's a gorgeous 2-page spread of Catwoman and Batman up in the rooftops in the past time, and he's demanding to know where the Joker is. This is after he's gotten the bomb out of the ice. He's demanding to know where the Joker is. It's snowing. So I think if you're a fan of the aesthetic of Batman Returns, you might like that this is set at Christmas and that there's a lot of Catwoman and Batman on rooftops with the snow. And Catwoman just yells at him, "What do you want from me?" She actually, I mean, she swears at him even, and he gets all, you know, silhouette on her with the eyes, like where is it? And she says "F you," and the end of the issue is her jumping off the rooftop, and as she does so, she says, "Come and get me then, come run after me, scare me to death and tell me how low I am and how high you are, like you do to all your other lovers." And then the final panel is Batman on his own, just with his head down on top of the building. So you have this kind of theme squeaking in of what Batman's villains are to him, and how she kind of views herself in that kind of, you know, plethora of people. And the idea of like what really drives Batman in many ways is the chase of the villains rather than the chase of love, like it is for most people. And it's really this you know, very somber ending, where I also think it's notable that Catwoman effectively is almost rebelling a little bit with Batman, like, you know, maybe out of guilt in and of itself, the idea that if she leaves Batman she won't feel guilty anymore. And I'm sure that's something that, given the fact that she ends up married to him and everything else later on, I'm sure that's something that will be a story beat for her to come out of. But it feels like she's trying to make herself feel better by severing the connection a little bit and diminishing how Batman is with everyone, including her. And it's fascinating. I was assume Matt's not here to talk about this because there's a lot of good stuff in here, for sure. And I think the fact that you have this moment here in the past where she kind of rebels against Batman, combined with the threatening of the Penguin, and then the stuff, you know, and that's in the future, but just combined with all the questioning her daughter does in the future, you really paint this picture of Catwoman where both at the start and the end of the cycle, where she does have this darker side, is quite interesting. And I think a lot of this book is about Catwoman dealing with her past and accepting who she is, and obviously the choices that even she takes in the future, which kind of has her going back the way in some ways. So it is very interesting to me, the idea that her own daughter might ultimately like put her away or have to stop her because of what she's become. Because after all, her daughter is also Batman's daughter, and there's a lot of Batman in her. So, we'll see how that goes. The art is gorgeous, though. The art is gorgeous. We got the snow. We had the Christmas trees. That glorious cat and penguin. I don't even want to call it a fight because it's not a fight. It's just a murder. And then that full page spread that looks wonderful. The Phantasm stuff as well. Every time a Phantasm's popped up in this book, she's looked great. That mask here especially. There's like panels where there's like a bunch of like TV monitors behind her, and like the mask is just sort of shown in like darkness with like the robe sort of cloak sort of like shape around it. It just looks really nice. Really smart use of different coloring, which is partly what helps you sort of discern what time period you're in at any given point. So that's really neat. But yeah, so yeah, this is all about the demons of the past. It's a lot about guilt. It's a lot about these things. And I think also, more importantly, perhaps even, it's about what guilt you have and how. Or maybe let me move away from the word guilt here. It's about stuff in your past that only becomes something you even reconsider because someone else kind of provokes you into reconsidering and recontextualizing what you did. So the idea that there's stuff in her past that she was able to live with until there was someone in her life provoking her to be better. In this case, that'd be Batman. And that influence on her makes her revisit these things in her mind and the guilt of what she's done in the past. And then likewise, at the other end of the spectrum, the idea that she's kind of almost reverting back without him, and what her daughter sees from that. I think there's a lot of interesting plates in the air, but I think it's very important that this book is more of a Catwoman book than it is a Batman book. Obviously, Batman plays into it, as does Joker, but it's all very much about how they all relate to Catwoman. She is very much the main character of this book. So yes, I'm looking forward to the next issue and seeing how it develops from here. So there you go. Very pretty, like I say, very, very pretty. Forgive me if I was waffling and thoughts. I'm used to Matt jumping in and taking the mantle occasionally. So as far as the rating goes for this, I'd say a really strong 8.5. Wonderful art, almost flawless in many ways. And then yeah, all the themes that it's spinning. It may not be my favorite issue of the book, but it's definitely progressing things. I mean, I think the favorite one is still very much where she killed the old man Joker. That was exceptional, that moment, and that I think that was issue 2 or 3 that happened.